Oh no! Oh boy! Ah, here it comes! The motherfucking loud spot! There's a lot of sounds going on in my house. It's wild.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. You all right?
We're doing great. I'm hoping I'm doing this right.
Oh, I can see myself. I can hear you and see you, and so it seems like everything's on point to me.
Perfect. So how are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Just thinking about. I think I need to go outside soon to the studio and finish up a little work for some friends. I've recently started recording, I guess, over the past year or so at home, and occasionally I get little projects here and there, to record for my friends and other people, and so I think I have a project due that I need to get on soon, but it's not rushed or anything like that. Just kind of
Yeah,
hanging, doing the best I can for my friends.
perfect. Well, let's do a short introduction. I'm your
Sure.
host, Alan McIntyre, the Southern Flame. We're on the loud spot, and this is Dave Matthews from Saving Abel. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So I saw that Jay, sorry, that you guys were jamming and doing some new music.
Yeah. Right now they're currently in the studio, finishing up on a couple of tunes and writing a couple of other ones. Just whenever inspiration hits them, they just jot it down.
Mhm.
That's kind of how they've done it for years. They've got a certain formula that they follow. Anytime they find ideas, Skid just hits record and they just write them down, and then they'll have a bank of songs or a bank of ideas, and then they'll just start putting them all together and um, building rough demos, and then each band member will start coming in slowly throughout the weeks or over the next course of a month or so until things happen. And so I guess it's like, I guess everybody has a different way of doing it, but this way works really well for them.
Perfect. So it looks like you guys are having a lot of fun. I've been enjoying the clips of you posting on Facebook of you
Yeah.
playing and stuff. It's really cool to see your point of view, your perspective of everything. So those are nice to see.
Yeah. I'm extremely grateful that I even got a chance to play for these guys or with these guys, because they're really good hearted people,
Mhm.
and we're always laughing or cutting jokes at each other or something. So it's just, I got really, really lucky to be asked to do this, and we're all from the same area. So, I grew up seeing these guys on MTV when I was getting ready to go to school in the morning.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So to be asked to do it was just insane. So I try to give back as much as I can, and play my parts exactly like the record or really close, and try to support the songs that they wrote, because these are like their babies.
Hmm.
These guys trusted me with 15 years or so of their work, and told me to count it off every single night and pretty much drive the bus live. So
Right.
I try to do the best I can, and try to support each and every little nuance in the music. That way people get the best experience and get their money's worth.
Right. Well, you're doing an epic job. I love seeing you play. I love seeing what you bring to it. So you guys have new music coming out. When
Hmm.
do you have some tidbits of secrets for us of when that might be?
Yeah, I heard a little bit today, which I was actually updated on. I didn't really know. Like, I kind of stay out of the loop of a lot of that stuff from behind the scenes.
Mhm.
I pretty much work in my department, and when they call me and they're like, "Hey, it's time to track drums," and I'll go do that. Or, "Hey, the bus leaves at midnight," and then I just show up. But other than that, I just kind of practice and stick to myself. But from what I heard today, I'm not going to go into like crazy detail, but it'll be over the next course of the next few months, we'll start releasing things here and there. We did finish up an essentials album, which is pretty much everything that had ever charted, or their most popular songs over the past 15 years. They got the rights back to their records, so they were able to recut them with the lineup, the new lineup,
Great.
and kind of refurbish them and reamp them and remaster them to bring them up to date.
Right.
They were amazing then, and they're amazing now, but I guess it was just pretty much like an update.
Right. Well,
So,
that's
and
good
he
to
still
have.
sounds the same. Jared sounds exactly the same. So he doesn't. I mean, even at night, when we play together, sometimes we have a track or two that'll be flown through the mix, just a yell or something, nothing crazy.
Mhm.
But he's so like precise with it that sometimes I don't know. Like he's so accurate that it's scary because I hear everybody singing in my monitor mix together,
Mhm.
and it's just like super accurate. Like their harmonies are perfect every single night. It's pretty wild. But when I heard the new stuff and the new essentials, it sounded exactly the same. Like he still has that much power, but instead of the previous drummers, it's me playing drums.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be great to see, and the new album is called Essentials?
Yeah, so it's the Saving Abel Essentials album. I believe
Okay.
there'll be 3 singles off the back of that nobody's heard yet. We've been
Okay.
playing one of them live. Um, so I think that one's coming out on it too. They also had a 20 years thing. I think it was called Shade of Grace,
Okay.
and that was like acoustic stuff that they had written prior to that band even existing, and they had all that stuff in their vault, and they just released all that too,
Oh,
because that was
wow.
how those guys got back together. Was Jason and Jared met up at the studio, at the same time, and was like, hey, let's do some recording. Before Jared agreed to come back, he was like, let's
Mhm.
let's see if we can write some stuff, just to see if that old flame is still there, and it was, and then it turned into all this. So
That's epic.
yeah.
And to see you guys together, it's like you're just one big happy family. I met you guys last
Yeah.
year or in August,
Hmm.
at Rockin' Pod, and
Hmm.
that was just so epic to see you guys, just bonding like just one big happy family. That was
It's always like that.
gracious. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like every time we get on the bus, like even with texts and all that come out,
Mhm.
it's they treat them like family, and it's even like that in their homes. I mean, they'll invite
Oh,
me over for dinner, and like our kids play together.
oh, how sweet. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So it was always it's always been a really welcoming ordeal just being around those guys, because any one of them you can call right now and they will help you as much as they can.
No, that is priceless to have people in your family like that.
Yeah, they're like a real family, like, and
Yeah.
they've been like that every lineup. There's only been like I think 3 different lineups of that band,
Mhm.
and every one of them were the same.
Well, you
They're
can
all just
definitely see the love and feel the love around you guys. Definitely.
yeah, and like they're like that to their fans too. Like their
Mhm.
fan base is like extremely loyal, and like
Mhm.
we have no shame of getting off the bus and going out and shaking everybody's hand. Like it doesn't bother us a bit. We go to the merch table, we interact with everybody. I mean, everybody deserves that. Nobody deserves to be snubbed.
Yeah, and it's sad when you do see that.
Hmm.
It's kinda like people forget that, their fans is kinda why they are where they are.
Right.
Of course, they're talented, but if you don't have the fan base to back it up
Right.
and then to see other bands snubbing their fans, it's hurtful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
so definitely proud of you guys for that.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, all of us came from the working background. Like all of
Mhm.
us, we've all had day jobs, so we know. I mean, I think the guitarist Jason, he like had a day job all the way up till he was like 27, 28 years old. He had a
Nice.
kid and a wife and everything when Saving Abel started.
Yeah.
And Jared worked really hard, and had day jobs and stuff. So like we understand. Hell, even me, I'm 27. I had a kid and a wife and was working a trade job all the way up until I got this gig pretty much. I mean, other
Right.
than, I started playing with Lance Lopez right before I was playing with Saving Abel, and I was very fortunate enough to be able to kind of do a side hustle and play gigs to make a
Mhm.
living for a little while before I joined the band. But like, other than that, no, we've all had normal jobs all the way up until Saving Abel, and so the way we look at it is, I mean, these people, they get away from their day jobs to take a break to come see us. The least we can do is go say hello to them and make their night or their weekend. Like, I remember meeting my heroes for the first time, and you know, um, I was sometimes stunned and speechless, and sometimes my heroes didn't want to meet me.
Oh,
They kind of, I've had my heroes break my heart before, but it's
uh,
okay. I mean, being a musician, you develop thick skin, but
yeah,
people that don't understand that, it will hurt their feelings, and we're
it
not we're
does
not
hurt.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
it
very
does hurt
positive.
your feelings. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
glad to see. And are you guys planning on doing anything like the Rockin' Pod again this year?
I think I'm not really sure.
Mhm,
I remember attending Rockin' Pod actually.
mhm,
I was there this past time with Saving Abel, but I was
mhm.
there the year before just as a visitor.
That's awesome.
Like, I was just hanging out, and like I had to get one of my buddies to get me a guest pass because I couldn't get in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, hey man, because like when you start hanging around Nashville and stuff, you start to like find friends that are in bands and stuff, and they'll
Mhm.
get you tickets or get you a +1 or something like that. And that's kind of how it was for me with Rock and Pod and little events like that and Nam and all that. My friends played
Right.
in bigger bands, and they would help me get into stuff. So I got it. I was fortunate enough to be able to get in, not this past year, but the year before, and kind of get around and mingle and see how everybody did anything. But I didn't even I didn't have nothing. I just like played for random bands, and I subbed a lot of gigs. Like, if somebody was in a pinch, I would help them out.
And look where you are today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm just really fortunate to be able to do it. Especially at this caliber. You know, I mean, I wake up in a different state in my bus every night. Like, it's wild, and I don't take any of that for granted at all. Like, I'm super grateful. And another thing that I got lucky about was I like all the songs.
Yeah. It
Like,
makes a big difference. Yeah.
yeah, I like every one of them. Like, I don't they can hit me with a B-side and I'll know it. Like,
Mhm.
when I went into their rehearsal, you know I think I knew 22 songs, and they only needed me to learn like 12. I learned like most of the catalog because I already knew all that stuff.
Overachieving. That's great though.
Yeah, I was learning songs that they didn't even remember the words to. I was like, what about
That's
this one?
epic.
And do what?
That's epic.
Yeah, they were like, I'm like, what about this one? And they're like, dude, we've never played that one live. And I'm like, what about this one? And they're like, I think we played that in '09, '08 on the Nickelback tour. Wow, that's how do you know that? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I just learned all of them.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how long have you been with Saving Abel? And what
Um.
got that started?
So it's funny. So I was in Jared's band
Mhm.
prior. So I was still working a day job, and like I was called upon to play with him here and there. And so I met Jared. I was 24, I think, when I met Jared, and
Mhm.
I had been playing a bunch of these little tribute nights in towns. Like the grunge night, or the new metal night, or the metalcore night, or the Rush night. I did Rush one time.
Awesome.
And for people that don't know that how the Nashville tribute thing goes, is what happens is somebody will put together this event, and they'll book it at like the Basement East or the Exit In or the Cannery or something like that. And they'll somehow find a pool of musicians, and these musicians will start sharing it and telling people here and there. And then if you get recommended for it, you get put on the list.
Nice.
So they'll have a list of songs that they email out to everybody, and they'll say pick 5 or pick 3 or however they do it. And you pick a couple of your songs, and they put you with random musicians. You don't even know who you're playing with half the time.
Wow.
And then you don't get a sound check, and you don't get a rehearsal, and you have to get up and play 1 or 2 songs in front of this big crowd at the Basement East or the Exit In, and you have to like nail it pretty much note for note. And then you go on about your day. And some people I've played with, I've never even like, I couldn't tell you some of the people I've played with because I don't even remember. It happened so fast, you know.
Wow.
It's
So they just throw you to the wolves, huh?
pretty much. But I was one of the fortunate ones that kept being asked to do it. Like I got asked to do grunge night probably, I don't know. I've done every one of them except this past one. I had COVID, so I
Oh,
had to
bless your
skip.
heart.
Yeah, I had to skip out on that one. But I've been asked to play every single jam night in town. So that's how I met Jared, was at a jam night. They actually had a rehearsal night for this new metal night, which is
Right.
crazy. That never happened. So I showed up just to help and just help ease the tension there. Cause these are all strangers playing in a room together, you know?
Hmm.
And it's different calibers. Like some people are big touring musicians and some of them are just, people that like to do it for fun,
Right.
which is cool too. Um,
Makes it interesting.
yeah, it's cool. Because some people get to play with their heroes at these jam nights, I have.
That's
Um,
perfect.
yeah, so I got called to do the new metal thing. So I think I was doing a poem by Taproot. And then I got
Nice.
called up to do Engine Number 9 by Deftones because I'm a massive Deftones fan. So I got called by the Deftones cover band to come up and do that as a guest. So that was
That's
cool.
great. Yeah.
Well, there was a song called Mud Shovel by Stained, and it was
Hmm.
on the list. And the drummer for Stained, or the previous drummer, the last drummer for Stained,
Hmm.
was supposed to be there for the rehearsal to do it, but I don't think they ever gave him a time to be there. He just showed up when he showed up, as
Hmm.
most people did.
Hmm.
And one of the guys that were in the little group, the band that made up every the song or whatever, the group of 4 or 5 people, um, one of them had to leave, and Jared was singing the song.
Nice.
So they were like, "Well, John's not here. Does anybody know Mud Shovel on drums?" And like 2 or 3 people pointed at me and was like, "I bet Dave knows it." Sure enough, I did. I knew every bit of it. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll run through. Jack's got to run, whatever." So I jumped up on the little riser there, the little stage in the rehearsal room, and I looked around and I noticed all my friends. I'd done made friends in Nashville. So I noticed everybody that was playing in the setting were my friends. I was like, well, there's Matt, and there's Jeremy and there's Jack. Okay, well, there's Jared Weeks. I've never met him, but that's the Saving Abel guy. Cool, right on.
Yeah.
And I was just prepared. So it didn't blow my mind that, Jared was in front of me or all these other celebrity, you know what I mean? Like, cause I'd been around it so much. Um,
Got nerves of steel, dude.
yeah, I was just like, all right, here we go, cause like, you can't like, if you want to do it for a living and like play at a certain level, you can't be like, oh no, I'm terrified. You just have to like count it off and do it.
Right.
It doesn't bother me to play in front of thousands of people. It doesn't even register in my brain. I don't even like crowds to begin with. So
Hmm.
like
So it's put up or shut up,
yeah,
huh?
it doesn't bother me. What are they going to do? Get on stage and come get in the way of me flailing around and potentially get hit? No. So it's okay. Um, So I counted it off. He played it, nailed it to the floor, whatever. Um, he kind of grinned at me, and that was it. Um, I tried to talk to him just to say, hey, good job, dude, and I guess he was just kind of over the night. And I was like, well, I'll see you later. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And he just walked out the door and he's like, yeah, I got kids. Bye. See you later. He just kind of bailed. He was just like, I got to go. See you. And I'm like, all right, well, it was nice meeting you, man.
Right.
Um, and then from there, I seen him again at the night, and John ended up getting up and doing the song live, which
Mhm.
that's cool. And I did mine and whatever. But Jared and I, we kept bumping into each other backstage at the Basement East, and he's got a really funny Southern sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's like all his jokes are smothered in gravy. So I immediately got it because I'm from the same area. I
Mhm.
literally am from like an hour from where he grew up. So like I understood all that stuff, like how we call ointment salve You know, instead of a bag, it's a sack, you know.
Honey, I'm from Alabama. I get it.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I'm from Mississippi. So,
That's
um,
great.
you know, I got to see all that stuff and hear that stuff. And it just kind of brought back like funny childhood memories.
Hmm.
And, you know, I think he was one of the only other people backstage that knew who like Jeff Foxworthy was, which was even funnier. So, you know, we kind of hit it off, and I went back to, went back to work. You know, I was working a trade job and putting in glass. You know, I was a glazer, so I installed glass windows and big
That's
commercial
cool.
buildings and all kinds of stuff. So, um, we kind of got to knowing each other a little bit, through, I guess, Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Hmm.
And one day, my best friend Jeremy Barber, who is now the guitar tech for Three Doors Down,
Nice.
he was one of the guys playing the jam nights with me. He plays every one of them with me, and we would work together as a team. If somebody dropped out, I'd call him, or vice versa. You know, if they needed a drummer, he would call me. If they needed a guitarist, he'd call Jeremy. You know, so
Sweet.
we worked those jam nights together until we got in all of them together.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, we were like a duo, you know, and we
Tag
played
team.
gigs together. Um, but Jeremy, he messaged me and said, "Hey, you know, Jared Weeks," because he was friends with Jared, I think. But um, he was like, Jared Weeks is doing a solo project thing, you know, and he's building a band, and I'm playing guitar for him." And I was like, "Well, that's awesome," you know. And I didn't really think much of it because I'm such a like a when I'm doing something, I'm extremely focused on it, so I don't really pay attention to anything else around me, any kind of moving parts, you know.
Yeah.
And just jokingly, I was like, "Well, let me know if he needs a drummer, LOL. You know, I'll do it. You know." And he's like, "How much Saving Abel do you know?" And I was like, "Oh, probably 3 or 4 songs. You know, I grew up about an hour from where he's from, so
Nice.
you know, I got to see all that stuff. I remember, you know, some of the kids I went to school with when they had their pickup trucks, they would pull in the Walmart parking lot with like 18 days wide open. Like
Great.
I heard that stuff my whole life.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess I don't know how exactly we got brought together all the way, but somehow he did need a drummer.
Wow.
Um, and so Jeremy gave me his phone number and said, call him. So I called him and was, you know, like, "Hey, you know, Jeremy Barber said you need a drummer. I can open my schedule if you have any dates or anything." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'll stay in touch." So Jared's really bad about like he for my how I am anyway. I'm impatient, and he is patient. So like he'll give you like a 2 week window without speaking to you, and then all of a sudden he'll call you and just drop a load on you. So that's what happened. I like didn't hear from him for like 2 weeks. I was like, all right, I guess I didn't. Okay, cool. You know, and I just kept moving on because in Nashville, people, yeah, I'll call you, and they never call you.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, whatever, you know. So I just kind of was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna keep doing my thing then and playing with bands and whatever I wanted to do. And then finally he called and said, hey, we're gonna get some dates going. You know, I'm like, cool. Well, that was like March of 2020.
Hmm.
So you pretty much know the rest from there. So nothing, you know, it was just nothing. All the dates were just gone. Poof.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we did do this thing called Hello TV, which was like a live taping,
Well, that's
um,
neat.
which was really cool because we only had like, a couple of hours to get the set list together. So it
Hmm.
was half of his originals and half Saving Abel songs,
Wow.
which if I go back and listen to that, me playing that, I can't listen to that stuff now. Like
It bother you?
I'm happy that I did that, but listening to how I played those songs versus how I play them now is
Hmm.
like night and day. um, but I was very grateful to be asked to do that, and that's where I started meeting him and getting to know his family,
Oh,
which was a whole other thing.
yeah.
They were just the sweetest people. His kids came running up to me and immediately like they didn't meet a
Oh,
stranger.
Oh,
They were just like, "Hey, you Dave?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You play drums for my dad?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "We're friends." And I'm like,
oh, how sweet.
I'm like, "Okay, cool." That's just the way they are. The whole family's like that. They're just like, "We're friends now."
Oh, that
Uh,
Southern hospitality.
yeah, it's always
It's
like that.
different down here, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's way different. And I've over the years I've been eyeballing LA for a long time, just
Yeah.
going out there and playing in a rock band. But then somehow I ended up in Nashville. I don't know, but I'm cool with it. But yeah, we got to knowing each other, and me and him hung out more than anybody else in the band.
Mhm.
Like I was just going to his house, and then one time we did this like random gig out in the middle of nowhere in Martin, Tennessee. It was just us two. He was
Yeah?
going out there to do like a guest spot for this house band. This house band was going to play his songs,
Oh,
and he
that's
was he was the
cool.
headliner. It was a couple of country bands, and then the house band was going to play, I guess, 18 days and whatever else. Well, we rode out there together. It was like a 3-hour trip. I went to his house to pick up a shirt or something, and he was like, "You want to ride?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we went and we got to know each other on these long car rides like this. So we went all the way there, and we showed up, and our guitarist and utility guy were also in that band. So there were like 3 members of his solo band there already.
That's
We were
great.
just missing our bass player and our guitarist. Um, so I'm standing there, out front and at the front of the stage, and um, the one of the singers from the other band asked, who are you with here today? And I'm like, I'm with Jared. And he's like, cool, man, you play? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, oh, cool. What you play? Drums. Who you play with? Jared. Oh, well, why aren't you up there playing the songs? And I'm like, man, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. If y'all want to play, y'all play. It's really not that big of a deal, man. And somehow he got me up there to the stage and was like, hey, this is Jared's drummer. He's going to play the songs tonight.
Peer pressure.
And I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't worry about it. I was just like, all right, whatever. So we waited around, and we got up there about midnight, which it was pushed. Like we were not supposed to be on at midnight. I think we were supposed to be on at like 10. But we started at midnight, so Jared was getting sleepy,
Mhm.
because he hadn't been touring heavily in years. He was about midnight. He's about ready to call it.
Yeah.
Um, but I got up there, and man, that sound man pumped all that sound up. He just overdid it. So I hit the snare drum, and we went to start that song, and it was so loud in my monitors. I was like, why is it so loud? I'm not even hitting that hard. And it was so loud that Jared turned around and was grinning at me and was like, oh, man. And then when we got done playing, we did 18 Days and Addicted. We got done playing, and he said it was so loud he could feel it in his teeth, and it made his teeth hurt. Like, I don't know what that was, but anyway, so I drove back, and I got to know him, and we just kept hanging out over 2020. And I would go to his little acoustic shows to support him, because at that point he had become my friend. Like
Right.
we
Support
were
your
just hanging
friends.
out all the time.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, one day we were hanging out in Murfreesboro. He was doing a little acoustic show with his side band called the Nashville Cartel, and I think he was opening for Lee Bryce or one of those guys,
Mhm.
like a country artist or something.
Mhm.
Um, no, I think it was Tracy Lawrence. He was opening for Tracy Lawrence, and we walked outside to get away from people because both of us have this weird crowd thing.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Man, I've been writing some songs. I've been writing with Jason a little bit." I'm like the guitar, like Saving Abel, Jason, and he's like, "Yeah, we just been writing some songs. It ain't. I don't think it's gonna be, like I don't, don't think I'm rejoining just yet. We're just writing songs." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And I didn't think anything of it still.
Mhm.
I'm just like, "All right, cool. Whatever, dude." And like he did that thing again where he ran off for like a month and a half and didn't say like,
It just went ghost.
he just went ghost for like a month. And I was like, okay. that, he just sometimes he'll throw his phone down and forget where it is for like a month. He don't even, um
He's got other stuff going on, huh?
yeah, got 3 kids running around and
Yeah.
run a business. Like he's just there's too many moving parts, which is it's okay. But he called me um one day and was like, well, me and Nikki, his wife, we've been talking about you a little bit. And I'm like, okay, cool. We got some shows coming up. And he was like, no, they're canceled. I think they canceled the one in October, man. And I'm not gonna be able to play it anyway. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I was like, well, I got this gig with this Lance Lopez guy, and I don't want to leave him hanging. But if you got any gigs, let me know, and I'll be happy to come do it. Um, And he was like, "Yeah, I'll call you back on those." And then he just like didn't. He just left again for like 2 weeks, and I was like, "Okay." And then he called back one more time, and he said that he's rejoining Saving Abel. And I was like, as a fan and like a friend, I was like, "That's awesome." And I thought he was going to get the original lineup back together, and like it was going to be this thing. And I was cool with it. I was whatever. But then he goes, well, I've been talking to Nikki, and I think you need to come with me. And I was like, to play drums?
Oh.
Like, yeah. And I'm like, all right. Okay, that's cool, man.
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah. And then he called me back a week later and he goes, I never really officially asked you, man. You want to play drums for Saving Abel? And I was like, yeah, dude, sure. Just tell me to show up. And he's like, all right, well,
Dude, yeah.
right back to our album, man. And we're gonna record an essentials album over the summertime. We're gonna go in and get some stuff rolling. But yeah, you're pretty much in. We're gonna get you talking and get you in the camp. Um, we're gonna talk to the managers and start getting the wheels rolling on this. And I'm like, all right. And he's like, go ahead and start, learning some stuff and getting some stuff under your belt and practicing and all that. And I was like, all right, cool. So I learned the whole catalog. And
That's epic.
yeah, I just learned all of them. I just fuck it. I just went for it.
Overkill. We're done.
Yeah. I already knew like 10 or 12. I just went on and learned all the CDs. I just learned all of them.
Yeah.
It's just better to be like that.
Prepared. Absolutely.
Well, I didn't know if they were going to throw me a curveball or not.
He
I,
had already thrown you what, 10?
yeah, they were going to be like, this is a deep cut from the first demo. Like I was going to have to know it.
Hmm.
I learned all of them, and then I showed up to the studio after a little bit, and I did 9 songs in 4.5 hours over 2 days.
Ooh,
Yeah,
working man.
yeah. I just went in there and just got it. Like I didn't even flinch. I wasn't even nervous. It was crazy. It was a very calming feeling because I guess when I'd heard Jared's voice in my ears, I was already kind of used to that.
Mhm.
So it was like my friend was singing to me. It wasn't like, oh God, I'm so nervous. It was just like
Right.
it's just my friend Jared singing. I didn't really think anything of it. Um,
That's great how it just went with the flow like that
yeah,
smoothly.
yeah, it just flew right out. Like it wasn't even I didn't even sweat it. I may have done like a punch on a fill here or there, but other than that, no, I did Beautiful Day in 2 takes.
That
Like
is wonderful. Well,
uh,
Dave, I am so happy for you, and I thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me.
yeah,
I thank you for just taking the time out and be like, "Hey, you want to talk? Sure."
yeah.
That's epic. Thank you.
I don't mind it at all. I love just talking about my friends and talking about my bands and trying to help and push any other musician that is looking to do it, man. Just keep your head in there, stay really positive, don't take nothing for granted, and just be really cool about everything. Like
Yeah.
don't set your expectations too high, but like don't forget that dreams can definitely happen.
Yeah, and don't let your ego take over. Still be human.
Oh yeah,
You
totally.
guys are so just humble, and it warmed my heart to see you with your friends at Rock and Pod. That was just epic to see.
Yeah.
Um, just the family vibes. So that
Mhm.
was great.
Yeah, all of our kids,
Family vibes.
you know, like our kids will run up and down the bus aisles, and like, um, it's a really good vibe. But yeah,
Mhm.
when I got done with all those songs, then they announced me as their drummer in May, but I hadn't played with them yet. So
Oh.
I had like 2 months of like I'm Saving Abel's drummer, and I had never even hit a note with him. They just trusted me. Like,
Yeah, that's great
he
though.
announced me as their drummer. I think they let the guy go. Like, I mean, it was all like bam, 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 and like it was no hard feelings or nothing. Like they're all still like that. All of them actually still communicate with each other.
Oh, that's lovely.
I believe even the original lineup still talk.
Nice.
I think so. I'm not. I don't get into that stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything rough on any terms. Matter of fact, they don't know this. They might. I don't know, but
They're gonna now.
they do now. But matter of fact, their original drummer is like one of my like heroes because I learned a lot from him, and
Oh,
I think I might go see him in a couple of weeks
oh, that's precious.
just to meet him, just to
I'm
be like,
so excited for you.
you're the dude, man. Like because he plays like he's a songwriter.
Mhm.
He plays with one of my friends. One of my friends is his guitarist.
Nice.
So that would be really cool. I mean, if it happens, cool. If it don't, that's fine. But I'm just overwhelmed. But August 1st we started and we got on that bus and that was it. Like we just started going. Jared said the bar is here. We're not going any lower. We have a sober bus.
Mhm.
Like there are nothing crazy. Nobody parties. It's none of that. Like
Nice.
it's really straight, and the vibe is always really good between all of us. We have good communication skills. Um, on
That's so important.
yeah, on stage it's like that too. Like we're just having a good time, Like me, I'm really hard on myself, so sometimes it's hard for me to let stuff go.
Mhm.
Like if I miss something, nobody notices but me.
And you beat yourself up about
It
it.
drives me nuts. I get
Oh.
like I won't. I'm good at not like I'll hide it.
Mhm.
But like sometimes I'll just be pissed off. Like I can't believe and it's so little. It's not even that big of a deal. So little. Like nobody even noticed. But I'm like, no, he comes in on this, comes in on the end of three, and like totally, like how did I
So
do?
you're a perfectionist about it.
Yeah,
Well, it's great to have that ethic, though.
yeah. Like
But don't beat yourself up,
no,
Lord.
I've done got over it, but like, but yeah, like I don't even like when I'm playing like a good example is 18 days. When I'm playing 18 days, you know, I've always been a stickler on uh making sure it feels just right.
Mhm.
Like the feel of that song is a great example of development for feel, like how it's supposed to feel. And
Mhm.
I accent and play with Jared on that song.
Nice.
Like everybody else is doing their thing, but like I'm almost playing to his lyrics. Like I hit exactly where it needs to be hit and drive it just like I'm supposed to. So I actually like Jared is the loudest person in my in-ear mix every. So I play with Jared, like
Right.
of course I'm cohesive and I got all this stuff going on, but like I make sure that he looks his best and he looks polished every night. Like
See, friends do that.
yeah,
There you go.
I when I remember like when he called me, he had let the other drummer go,
Mhm.
and he called me and told me, hey, we did this, and like I said, there's everybody was totally fine, everything's okay,
Mhm.
but the only thing I could tell him was I got it. Okay,
Nice.
okay, I got it, and I got you.
There you go.
I got you. Like
Got
don't
you back.
I got you. And from then on, that was the way it was, and it's still like that. I got you. Like whatever you want me to do, I got it.
And it is so hard to find people like that, friends like that. I'm so proud of you guys.
Yeah,
That is wonderful.
but on the bus, man, I feel like I learn something every 30 minutes. I learn something new all the time, like, and I never stop learning, and I'm open to things. It is a little hard for me on occasions to read the room, just
Mhm.
because I naturally I'm a talker. I'm an abrasive person.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be. I just, even if I hurt your feelings, like, I would much rather me just be honest and hurt your feelings than bullshit you.
Right.
And sometimes that will get me in
You
trouble.
wouldn't happen to be a Leo, would you?
No,
What
no,
are you?
I'm the Aries.
Aries, still a fire sign. There you go.
So yeah, so I don't mean to burn you, but like, if it, I would much rather you pull me out in that bus alley and tell me what I just did wrong in front of
Mhm.
you than to to pit. And they don't do. They're good about that. They're
Yeah, don't
like,
sugarcoat me with shit. Give
no,
it to me.
no, straight. I want all the info right now in front of me. That way, that mistake isn't made anymore.
Exactly, exactly. Speaking of mistakes, this is my first live show ever,
All right.
solo, and we are supposed to be recording, and I don't know how I fucked up, but I did. We are
Well,
actually live, Dave.
yeah. See, that's cool though. I mean,
I
I saw live up at the top, and I was like,
did
all right,
too, but I was like, wait a
all right,
minute, there's comments there.
all right, fine. Here we go. Like, I'm okay.
I,
It don't.
I don't know how I did it, but I'm still learning myself.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I couldn't be happier with my family, and I still, I did when I came home. It was very helpful for me because I got to reflect on everything. Sometimes in negative ways, like, man, I probably shouldn't have done that, or man, I probably shouldn't have said that, or, but it's it makes me feel much more grateful now that I've had time to kind of turn it off,
Okay.
and I can compartmentalize it now. Like, I can go, Saving Abel goes over here, and my family goes over here. You know what I mean? And just kind of separate those things to where I can, where everything can coexist.
Mhm.
Um,
It's hard to do that though, isn't it? It takes
yeah,
time to learn that.
extremely hard. It is not
Yeah.
easy because, I mean, dude, like, even when you're working, if you go back to working a day job, like, I went and took a job at a kennel. Like, I'm a kennel tech.
Oh.
Yeah, I work with puppies all day. Like, I make sure I clean them, and like, I did that out of, for one, out of boredom. Um, but two, like, I did it just because, like, I knew that, like, those puppies really don't give a shit who you play for. They just kind of want to be fed.
And loved and taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it makes you have a different appreciation for things,
Mhm.
like, it's great walking out in front of 1,000 people every night and putting your hand up and they all clap, and that's fine. But that doesn't happen when you roll over out of your bed.
Mhm.
Your son doesn't clap when you make him breakfast. The dogs don't clap,
Yeah.
feed them. Like, it humbles you a lot, and makes you that much more excited about everything. And I started going to therapy, which is great. It's not because, like, I'm, I don't know, but anyway, I started going and doing these, like, adult coloring books to slow my
Oh, that's therapeutic.
yeah, it's to slow my
Yeah.
mind. Yeah, because I'm very impulsive. I'm
Mm.
like, uh, I'm impulsive, energetic, and, like, really, I'm eager all the time.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to tell me twice to do something. It's already
It's there, huh?
yeah. I'm really really on top of stuff, but sometimes you have to be patient in order for things to work themselves out in the way that I guess you're either expecting or that you dream of. And it seems to me like Saving Abel, since we've been on this break, has improved on the back end a good bit, and it's been very positive. And every time I hear from the guys, it's always positive.
Nice.
Like, whether it be like a new booking agent, we got a new booking agent, uh, a lot of good things are happening right now. A lot of good vibes. We're taking our time on the album. We're not trying to get in there and rush this thing out to get
Mhm.
back on the road. We're actually, like, picking and choosing. Um, how we want this thing to work, because technically it is a relaunch. I mean, a lot of those dates that we played, a lot of those were makeup dates.
Okay.
They were already booked. I don't think Jared, like when we came into this, I mean, he was cool with it, but I don't think he doesn't, he wants to kind of like really take his time and get things booked properly and,
Right.
and get everything in line to where it's worthwhile for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like everybody has a good time all the time.
Excuse
We
me.
already have such a good vibe on the bus, but, yeah, when I stopped and decided to do the therapy thing, you know, it really opened up some nice avenues for me to think on, and it helped a lot with everything, really, like my family, and kind of brought me to earth and grounded me really well, so that I can prepare myself to go out again and feel way more comfortable with myself, and not so, oh my God, what did I do wrong every time something happened? Because I'm the world's worst about it. If something happens, I'm like, shit, how did I mess that up?
Yeah, you beat yourself up about it.
I totally think I screwed that up. And even though I might not have, and it was completely out of my control, because I'm in the room, I feel like I need to take the blame for it for some reason.
Or fix it somehow.
Yeah, I want to fix it. I
Yeah.
mean, fix it, or I'm also the first one to take up for the underdog in the room.
Mhm.
If I feel like he's the underdog, then I will take up for him. And sometimes he might not be the underdog. He might just be like the snake in the grass,
Yeah.
you
That
know.
discernment. Yeah.
And I'm like, really, I just had your back, asshole. Like, like I
Mhm.
try to look out for folks, and not come off too harsh. But yeah, going to therapy kind of helped me um, compartmentalize everybody and everything in a very positive way.
Mhm. Well, you guys were just so humble and so loving when we met you, and it was great. I love seeing you. You guys just warmed my heart. I started paying more attention, following you guys more, and the more I've seen, the more I liked. And I don't know, I felt drawn to talk to you to see if you would be interested in coming on. And I thank you so much for that. In
Yeah.
just a second, I'm going to have to go to our outro, but don't go anywhere, okay?
Okay, cool.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on. I so much appreciate you, Dave. It's
Absolutely.
been wonderful to talk to you.
Thanks. Yes.
And kudos on going to therapy, because so many people are intimidated about going to therapy, thinking,
Mhm.
it's a bad thing, where it's not. It is so not.
You can have little things loose up here that you didn't even realize. You could have been doing something
Mhm.
you didn't even realize you were doing, and just
Mhm.
somebody asking, like, how does that make you feel, or like, where are you going with this? And you're like, man, I never really thought of it like that. And it's like, well, um, think positively on it sometime and see what that does. And sure enough, it helps. Like just somebody asking you how you are, because
Yeah.
people getting in these mundane things
Mhm.
to where they just do the same stuff every single day. And sometimes you will keep putting things off that needed to be tended to. And a therapist will help you, kind of drain that a little bit to where you can focus a little better on what's really important.
Right. Well, thank you so much for everything. I really, really have enjoyed chatting with you. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to play the outro, and I'll be right back.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
This is the Loud Spot outro by Nothing Short of Tragic. Is this all talk with no action? No. Is this my thoughts with distraction? No. Is this what I bought that's in fashion? Or is this the Loud Spot with Sebastian? Yes. Does Nothing Short of Tragic have his back again? Yes. Does everything that's good really have to end? Yes. Our pimp host has a pimp show, so to get more episodes, make an order, this is over.
Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to click the like and share button.
Don't forget to go to our YouTube and subscribe.
If you want to listen to our audio and pick up some cool merch, go to www.theloudspot.net. Peace out, rock on, much love.